Not that my content reaches a lot of men because I have an IQ of 130, but I want the men in this country to know that half the female population, we're dry. We're probably gonna stay dry. I'm dry as a desert, baby, and I don't want it to change. Yeah, we're not gonna like you anymore.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because once we got the Red Cup, we're about to spill some truth. And today I wanted to come on and talk about the radical left's response to Donald Trump's win and the women on the left. And it's called the 4B movement. Okay, if you have not heard about the 4B movement, trust me, you're going to want to stay through this video. Okay, so let's get into what the 4B movement is. Here we go.
No heterosexual marriage, no childbirth. These are just two of the pillars of the radical 4B feminist movement in South Korea, in which women are basically boycotting men. I'll explain. The 4B movement is based on 4 pillars, each of which starts with B, the Korean word for no. Bihon, no heterosexual marriage. Bichulsan, no childbirth. Biyone, no dating men. And Biseksu, no heterosexual sexual relationships.
Okay, so you just saw that, and you saw how the 4B movement originated in Korea, all right? It is a radical feminist leftist movement that isn't really a big thing in Korea. It's a small subset. But the feminists here in America, they just had to pick it up because they cannot help themselves when they do not win, okay? So, of course, you know that Donald J. Trump won the presidency just a few days ago in the election, all right? And women's response to it and the women in the media's response to it has been outrageous. So on top of the 4B movement, this is what women in the media had to say. Here we go.
Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men. Right. It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them.
We talk a lot about these different demographics and these assumptions of where they're going to go. Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some lessons.
That's what that was.
The lessons are not
Knock. The hip hop and Hulk Hogan generation, the F your feelings latchkey kids who came up on Dynasty, Dallas, and The Apprentice, who were the lone age group that voted in a majority for Trump. A majority of Gen X voted to turn America into an autocracy and to condemn our kids and grandkids to a far-right Supreme Court, probably for the rest of their lives. And it was not just Gen X, because while 91% of black women voted for Kamala Harris, 53% of white women overall voted for Trump, despite the open disrespect and demonization hurled by J.D. Vance and the Supreme Court stripping women's bodily autonomy, courtesy of Donald Trump, who closed his repulsive campaign by dropping the B word on Nancy Pelosi. The breakdown by education was stark. Harris won 57% of white women with college degrees and lost 63% of white women without them. It was also men. Trump won every age group of men, including 60% of Gen X men and 6 in 10 white men. Also Latino men, who, despite the utter disrespect shown by Trump and his promise to deport some of your mixed status families, most of them voted in a 55% majority to make the deportations happen. Y'all voted with Stephen Miller and David Duke and against your own sisters and chose Kamala Harris with 60% of their votes. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and to your wives, sisters, and abuelas from here on in.
All right, so you just saw that, right? And Joy Reid left no stone unturned, all right? She made sure she called out everybody, all right? The women that went 53% for Donald Trump, which happened to be white women, and which happened to be non-college married white women. Go figure. She called out the men, okay? The men in every age group went for Donald Trump. Like, they can't believe it. Every age group, right? And every race, but particularly Latino men, okay? Latino men went straight for Donald Trump and they are upset to the point she even said, oh, your mamas and your sisters and your wives and your abuelas, when they're deported, don't say nothing to us. It is so, so, so hypocritical because had the right said that, they would be condemned. Okay. So not only that, you had Joe and Mika over there with Al Sharpton talking about how Black and Latino men aligned with white men to go against women and their freedoms and their rights. I mean, they're pushing this hard. Then you had the feminist Haven, the cackling and the kikiing of The View. All right. Sunny just could not let it go. She had to say it was misogyny, misogyny, misogyny. All right. And that they did not want a woman as president. They did not want a Black and Asian, even though she's not Black, but a Black and Asian Kamala to be president. They could not let this go. So this has fueled a lot of what's going on. So now the 4B movement is in full effect here in America. They have their own version. This is how they're implementing it. Here we go.
That my content reaches a lot of men because I have an IQ of 130, but I want the men in this country to know that half the female population, we're dry. We're probably gonna stay dry. I'm dry as a desert, baby, and I don't want it to change. Yeah, we're not gonna like you anymore. You understand that? Like, it doesn't matter if you take away abortion. Like, we'll want to have your babies even less, right? Even if you take away contraception, like, women are really good at celibacy because you guys are actually a threat to us. So we have a lot less to gain from you. So yeah, 4B all the way. Let's make some money, I guess. That's all we can do now.
I really want to get behind this 4B movement. If you've been hearing all about this movement and have no idea what it is a movement that originated in South Korea and is centered around the 4 no's. No dating men, no getting married, no having kids, and no having S-word. And it's called the 4B movement because in Korean all those words start with B. After this election where women were pretty much told to their faces that no one gives a shit about them, don't forget, ladies, we do have power. And you know the kind of power I'm talking about. Giving up our bodies to men is a choice. We don't have to do this. We can be good to ourselves, if you catch my drift. We don't need men for that. So since they have shown us time and time again that they don't care about us and that all they really want is control over our bodies, because yes, I did see the comments from men that were all like, ha 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 ha, you women lost the election, you thought you were gonna win, haha, your body, my choice. Oh, y'all think you're funny? You wanna hear something even more hilarious? If women choose to take themselves out of the equation, who are you gonna get down with? Who? You don't have to have access to us at all. That's a privilege. And it looks to me like men have lost that privilege. Seriously though, ladies, we have power too. Never forget that.
All right, so you just saw that. So you saw American women take a small fringe movement from Korea and bring it here to the West in protest of Donald Trump and Roe v. Wade, to the point where they're not going to have sex with men. They're not going to procreate with men. They're not going to do anything, date, nothing with men, okay? On top of that, they're shaving their heads. They look crazy, all right? Like, it's absolutely insane. And it's going everywhere. It's white women, it's Black women, it's all women of the West, women in America on the left, mind you. Okay. So it's just going nuts. However, they're not understanding the real implications that this is going to have for them. All right. Not only will they eventually have to work themselves to death and be cat ladies. All right. They're not understanding the birth rate issue. So I want you to watch a cat lady who's going to tell them how they're going to end up. And then I want you to watch what it's going to do to the birth rates. Here we go.
Movement. I'll just never be done being proud of your generation and doing what we should have done. I've always said it like this. I lived my life like a man. Got my own place. Date who I want. When I want, go on vacation, do this, do that. No kids, no responsibilities of kids, no daycare, no bullshit, no baby mama, no baby daddy. Do it. I'm 61 years old. Here you go. Here's that, oh, I'm going to die alone with cats lady. Actually, I've got them falling out of my pockets. And a boyfriend. You're welcome.
The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development recently took a deep dive into this topic. In its most recent study, it found globally the fertility rate in 2022 was 1.5 children per woman. That's down 3.3 children from 1960. Now, there are concerns that in less than 50 years, the global death rate will actually surpass the birth rate. Economists, of course, have increasingly raised concerns over what kind of impact this trend will have down the line.
Wow, why such a dramatic drop?
So there are several factors coming into play here. For one, we have seen a surge in women going to college, launching successful careers. So this has maybe kind of changed the mindset here. They enter the workforce, they decide to have children later in life, or again, maybe not at all. And secondly, the decision to be childless has been more accepted in recent years. Maybe 50 years ago, the idea of not having a child by the age of 30 was maybe seen as taboo. But especially with the rise in social media, the thought process of maybe, again, going into a career and not having children has been more accepted. And lastly, and probably the biggest factor coming into play in recent years, is the cost of raising a child. In a recent study done by NerdWallet, 31% of Americans said that they are not planning on having children because of the overall cost of raising them. And the majority of those people are millennials.
Okay, so looking grand scheme, what's the long-term impact of this, Taylor?
Yeah, so for one, families eventually will not be replacing themselves. And this is expected to have a ripple effect on the economy. I mean, for one, just looking at Social Security and retirement benefits, I mean, we've talked about that on Queen City News Now about just how the retirement benefits are already dwindling. So if we don't have a generation behind us that is kind of help funding that, there are concerns what could happen in coming years with that. And secondly, we've also started seeing a rapid decline in school enrollment. I mean, this is already happening now, and it's only expected to get worse. And lastly, a rise in labor shortages. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the term labor shortage was mentioned 7,000 times by executives in earnings calls over the last decade. So economists fear that eventually there will be not enough workers to fill jobs. I think on the bright side here, we talk about AI a lot. This has been one of the evolving technology that they say could actually help out.
All right, so you just saw that. So the 4B movement, the fringe, small movement from Korea that has made its way via social media, TikTok, all the way here to the Western world of America, is now taking over because of Donald Trump's win. It's absolutely insane, okay? So no sex, no marriage, no kids. You get no family. And you know what else you get? No people. The low birth rate. All right. You just saw that report. And these women do not care because they have been told by the mainstream media, frankly, the left, the extreme left, that it's okay to just want to be a career woman, to just want to be a working woman, no kids, a cat. Taylor Swift is up there with a cat. Right. But she's also not telling you that she has a man. She's also not telling you that she aspires to have children. All right. These are things that people on the left do not think about. And frankly, they don't understand how it's going to affect us. But luckily, there is a 53% margin of women, preferably white women, that still want to have families. There is a 7% margin of Black women that still want to have families. And there is a 20% margin of Latino women that want to have families. And we tend to be conservative, okay? So all of these demographics make up the demographics that are going to have to date the men because of this 4B fringe movement with the left here in America. All right. So you've seen it all. You've seen the crazies cut their hair off. You've seen them say they're not having sex. They're going to be dry. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And you see the mainstream media blame men for not voting Kamala in because of reproductive health care, or better yet, abortion rights. All right. So, I could be wrong as always. Well, according to the left, I'm always wrong. But you guys let me know. Do you think there's nothing wrong with this fringe movement in America? Why can't it come here? We should let women do whatever they want to do. So what? Who cares? Nobody's having babies. Or do you think like me and you're just like, men, procreate with the sane women, the women that understand, the women that are voting for Donald Trump, the women that are voting for family, rather, the women that want to keep our economy and our generational wealth going. Procreate with them. All right. It's your girl, Micca. You can always support via Cash App, officially Micca. That's spelled MICCA, officially Micca. And you can always support here in the comment section with a super chat or a super thanks. It's your girl, Micca. Thank you for watching. And I'm out.